Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Bayt.com's Career Talk. I'm Hatem, HANNOUN. And on this week's episode, I want to speak to you about how you should be speaking to your manager or your boss or your employer. Now, your boss and your manager, you might have a great relationship with them. You might get along at work. You might even go out for dinner after work. Team activities, you might feel like you have the best relationship in the world with your boss. But you need to remember that your boss is not always your friend in every circumstance. At the end of the day, they are responsible for your productivity and how you manage yourself and how you speak and how you deal with others at work. So it's very important for you to keep in mind that there are some things that would cross the line when speaking to your employer, regardless of how comfortable you are with them. So that's what I want to discuss on this week's episode. 6 things for you to watch out for when speaking to your boss. Number 1, showing too much ego. Let's say, for example, that your employer had put forward a problem for you and your team to solve, and you spent your entire weekend preparing a solution in your idea and working on your pitch. Over the entire weekend, you feel like you are prepared for success. And then you come in after the weekend, pitch your idea, only to find out that your employer has approved your colleague's idea over yours. And you're hurt by this. You feel like your ego's been hurt by this. What you shouldn't do in this scenario is go and confront your employer and ask them, hey, why was that person's idea picked over mine? And show visibly that you are personally hurt by this decision. What you would rather be doing in this scenario to make sure that your idea is heard and is taken into account is ask the employer, put yourself in the employer's shoes and ask them, why was that idea picked over? What was it about that solution or that idea that made more sense to you? That way you'll understand how your employer is thinking, understand what's missing from your piece. Was it that their solution was more complete? Was their pitch better? Or was the employer looking for something that just wasn't in your pitch itself? Or if you feel after that explanation that your solution is still better, that gives you the opportunity within that discussion to highlight once again some key points from your proposed idea, showing why your solution is better suited. But never put it in a personal context where it's you versus your colleague. Take it just assessing solutions. Your solution versus that person's solution, solution versus solution. That way you'll be heard in a more professional sense and have the opportunity to grow and develop by understanding where your employer is thinking. Number 2, losing your temper. Now this happens to the best of us. At different points in your career, you might be faced with situations that upset you. Maybe your boss has given you a project that you just weren't ready for. Maybe your colleagues aren't acting in a certain way. Maybe you're overloaded. There's so many reasons that could get you upset at the workplace. But it's very important for you not to lose your temper. It's not right for you to go to the employer and blow up in their face and get angry and visibly upset about something that's happened. If you're indeed looking for a solution or you want to address your employer about a decision they've taken or something that's happening with your team, you need to speak to them calmly. And if you find yourself in a position where you're not calm and you're not able to speak in a collected and professional manner, A, you won't be heard out, and B, you should take a break and come back to it at another point. Maybe even the next day when you've calmed down and you feel like you can collect your thoughts and speak in a professional manner to your employer, where they will be able to hear you out and be on your side and try to find a solution. Number 3, honesty. Now, honesty is generally a good thing, but if you're not careful with honesty, it might be taken the wrong way. You have to be careful who you're honest with, what you're honest about, and when you're honest about it. For example, you might be being honest to one colleague about another colleague behind their back. To you, you might feel like you're just being honest and expressing how you feel about a certain someone. But to them, it will be gossiping, and this won't be looked at favorably. At the same time, you might be faced with one of your colleagues giving you an idea or a solution to something. If you're too brutally honest about their idea, you might demotivate them. You might discourage them from coming up with other ideas, and you might find their productivity taking a hit. If your employer has come to you with some feedback on something, if you're honest back to them or too honest back to them about something, again, they might not look at it in the best light. So you need to be careful. As good as your intentions might be about being honest, you need to be careful who you're honest with, when you're honest, and what you're honest about. Sometimes a little sugarcoating goes a long way. Number 4, making threats. Now, I don't mean here threatening your employer's well-being. That's not what I'm getting at here. What I mean here is, let's say you're in a situation that you're not too happy with. It's not a good idea to let your employer know something along the lines of, do you know how many offers I've been getting and turning down to stay at this job? This will show your employer that you might be someone who has one foot out of the door already. Now, it's understandable that a lot of employees look for jobs while they're currently employed. And I'm sure your employer knows this about a lot of the company already. But it's never a good idea to let your employer know that you have so many job offers waiting on the table and that you could be taking any one of them and that you don't have to be putting up with the situation that you're in, unless you're ready to go through with it. If you're ready to actually go through with it, then you bring this up to your employer, but not in a time where you're upset and feelings and emotions are flaring up. bring it at a time of calm where you're letting them know that you're assessing another opportunity. So in this scenario, don't make these kinds of threats. Don't let your employer know that you're getting so many offers and that at any point you don't need to put up with all the stuff that's happening at the company and you're ready to walk out. Because your employer will not look at you as someone who's here for the long run and may not even look at you for a promotion or a raise next year. Number 5, making territorial grabs. Something along the lines of, why did that person get a promotion? I've been here in this company longer. Now, duration and tenure and how long you've been in a company doesn't mean you're entitled to that raise or that promotion. If you feel like someone who's been in the company less than you have has been promoted and unfairly promoted over you, and you feel like you are more deserving of that position, it's a great idea to go to the employer and again, step into their shoes. Understand, why did they pick that person for a promotion over you? Because a lot of the times, it's not about how long you've been in the company, it's about what value you add. Maybe your employer was looking for something very specific for that new role, and that other person just had that thing that they're looking for, and they're bringing value in that specific way. You might be doing your job great, you're hitting all your numbers, your KPIs, and you're performing at a great level. But there's just something there that you don't have that employer is looking for in that new role. So understand what the employer is looking for. It'll allow you to spend the rest of that year better preparing yourself. Maybe there's something you just haven't thought about that you just aren't capable of doing, and then gives you the opportunity to prepare yourself and learn that new ability and put it to practice so that next time there's a promotion or a raise involved, you are in line for it. Number 6, providing unconstructive criticism. What I mean by this is you might be seeing a lot of inefficiencies happening in your workplace, the way the meetings are being conducted, the way work is being done, and you're seeing a lot of things that could be a lot better. It's great for you to spot these things. What's not great is for you to spot these things and point them out to your employer without a solution. It's almost like you're just throwing the problem in their lap and waiting for them to solve it. Now, if you spot these things, great. Step 2, think of a solution. What could be done better? What would we need to do better to improve on this situation? And that's what you go to your employer with. You go highlighting the problem and highlighting the proposed solution. Then you can work with your employer on refining the solution. And third and lastly, be prepared to take ownership of that solution and executing upon it to improve on the thing that you spotted out as being inefficient in your workplace. Without that ownership, again, it's like coming up with an idea and just waiting for someone else to solve it. Thank you all for watching this week's episode of Bayt.com's Career Talk. I hope you found value in that and it would help you communicate more effectively with your manager. As always, new episodes here every week. Subscribe to us here on YouTube and follow us on Facebook and Instagram for the latest updates. And see you all next week.